This is Elle Jensen, and you are listening to Unstoppable Body and Mind, episode 138, What I Learned in 2025.
In this podcast, we learn to upgrade our brain and understand the power of our thoughts, to heal and to create the results we want in our life. Become the person in control of your healing and make peace with your life. Become unstoppable, body and mind.
Hello, my loves. I know I have not been recording a lot of podcasts lately, so I wanted to do a podcast kind of summarizing my whole year of 2025, the top things I learned. I kind of took a year sabbatical, some time off from coaching, definitely did some different kinds of emotional work. So I'll get into all that. I'll start kind of at the beginning of the year. In January, I started a program with Bella Lively. So she did it's called the Love Club, TLC, the Love Club. It was a 3-month program, and there was a lot of emotional processing, a lot of visualizing your like future self and your future. She calls it Bella Vita, which is like this beautiful place in your dreamland, like what you fantasize about. And she teaches this really cool way of emotional processing called bean bagging. Hopefully, I could actually have her on the show talking about that sometime. But I had really been feeling like I wanted to do more self-care, work on self-love. And this came up, and not only was there coaching, but also little workshops about fashion, about finance, about massage and dry brushing and lymphatic drainage, and about how to make your space lovely and beautiful, and how to just live in a space that you energetically love. So I had recently stopped doing Botox after I'd done it since I was 35, so almost 15 years of Botox, and I stopped because I was really curious about massage, about lymphatic drainage, and about the fascia in the face. Just thinking of the face as it's not necessarily like just we age and the number of days we're on the earth, the face is going to look a certain way. There are times that your face can have a lot of puffiness. You can go to a sauna or something, your face can look different. It can look different from the morning to the evening. So your face is kind of constantly changing, just like your body is. So all of this stuff was right up my alley, especially the self-love. And I just can't say enough good things about that program. I really, really loved it. Bella Lively, she's been around for years. Look up her podcast, The Lively Show, if you're interested. Anyway, so I really started a deep dive into those kinds of things. And one thing she really helped me learn as a woman is just being okay with doing things that I love for my appearance. So she's very big into the inner voice, her inner voice, helping people tune into their inner voices, living kind of a life of flow and all of the magical things that can happen and serendipities when you do that. And she said that her inner voice told her to get lip filler. And I was like, my mind was blown because for me, it's always been this contrast of like, I've been drawn to like fashion and beauty, but I've also felt a little bit ashamed about it. Like, you shouldn't be so vain. You shouldn't focus on yourself so much. And so there's this pressure, I think, that a lot of women feel where it's like you want to look good and you want to, maybe look your best. And then also there's like a stigma if you're doing too much, trying too hard. So she teaches you how to really tune into your own inner voice, to ask your own questions. And I can tell you a really cool tip real quick because this relates to the stuff that I talk about with the nervous system. When you inhale, that is the sympathetic part of the nervous system. And when you exhale, that is the parasympathetic, the rest and repair. And so she teaches as part of like tuning into your intuition to ask yourself a question as you inhale, just kind of ask it to your own brain, and then exhale, listen for the answer as you're exhaling. And I thought that was so cool because she uses some different language, but definitely a lot of things that she teaches overlap with what I believe and what I teach. And I also started really getting into like decluttering my house and just cleaning things. and organizing and making things simplified, like getting rid of clutter. That's still a work in progress, I'll have to say. But I started to really trust that if I had some kind of question with my body, even with aging, that if I ask my inner voice, I will be led to an answer. And so I have some examples of this with like castor oil. I really wasn't loving what Botox was doing for me. It was starting to make my forehead like droop down and my eyes get smaller, basically. And then the next thing is like, well, do you need like an eyelid lift or something? I mean, it's just crazy to think of all of this, like immobilizing the face and freezing it versus thinking of like you could strengthen the muscles, you could move the stagnant lymph, you could rejuvenate that fascia so that your face just starts looking younger and younger as you do these massages or exercises. And I learned about castor oil just through YouTube, just suggested it to me. I really believe sometimes that when I have a question or something, I'll just like the right answer will pop up, whether it's a friend saying something or a video that just pops up on my feed suggested for me, or there's a product that Facebook selects that seems to be exactly what I need. Right. So, I mean, I really do believe that there is something to the body and the mind. So I might use like castor oil for my skin, for my face, and whether it is the anti-inflammatory qualities of the oil, the hydration, whether it's nocebo effect, whatever it is, it feels good when I do it. It feels like a self-care ritual. And it's been helping my skin, and my skin is so soft now. And I've learned about red light. I've been doing that every day while I meditate. And I feel like I'm really just being led to these things that are good for me, that will help me without this sense of like, you need to do it. You need to do it to feel better. You need to do it to look better. If you look better, then you'll feel better. Nah, it's just about like, what's the next thing that I could do to take care of this beautiful body of mine, to treat it like maybe like some people treat their car, their luxury car, and they might get some fancy steering wheel covers, or they might wax it and so it's shiny or whatever, right? You're taking care of this body that you have in this life while you have it. And it can be fun. It's like how people express themselves through decorating their house or through fashion. You can be like that with your body. So anyway, I started really down this path of doing different types of things with, like I said, the castor oil, gua sha, face taping. I even gave a little workshop for Bella's group about face taping and just exploring how I can rejuvenate my muscles of my face to make it look healthier, younger, and as vibrant as I feel inside. So that was really fun. But I did notice that when I was getting into more of the physical side of things, because I started hearing about how wrinkles in your face can be caused by your neck. And so that neck tension that I didn't really ever worry about that I had because it wasn't painful, I started actually getting more neck pain. So I did notice when I was focusing more on that emphasis on the physicality of my body and not just the mind body connection and the brain that's causing those muscles to be tight, I actually was suffering from a little more pain in the neck. Whether that was related to whatever was going on emotionally for me, that could be as well. But I did notice that I hadn't really had neck pain for a while until I started thinking more about loosening up my neck. Oh, and then in the spring 2025, I did have an MRI on my mid back and lower back. Now, this was just for fun. I just really wanted to see what it looked like, right? Because I have had some instances of back pain. I had a snowboarding accident 20 plus years ago, maybe 30, yeah, 20 years ago or so. And um, every once in a while will have like muscles that tighten up on that side. I have had something in my like mid back. So I just wanted to check it out, found a place that will do it out of pocket for a pretty reasonable price. So I just paid and had it done. And guess what? Going over to the MRI, I actually had some like dizziness, seriously driving there. And then when I was there, my back was hurting. When I got my results, and for days after, my back hurt, my hip hurt more. So I did have some physical pain earlier in the year, but also, like I said, I was kind of a little more focused on the physical and like what was wrong with the physical. And then I started having more pain. But I just, at this point, treat everything with like, it's probably going to go away. Like even sometimes that day it will. It's not a big deal. Maybe do some journaling or something to figure out what's going on if it doesn't automatically just go away within the next few minutes or hours or day. But a lot of my symptoms, even some pretty severe ones, have come up and gone away very, very quickly. I've even seen some examples, some crazy examples with like after working out, because I have started just exercising a lot more, teaching Pilates classes. I got certified in Pilates at the beginning of the year. So that was a big change for me. I went from teaching like a restorative yin yoga class to this very energetic, fast-paced, using weights Pilates. But I felt like for me, it felt right. Like I had been in this kind of like cocooning phase for a while and just like taking it easy. And then I was like ready, was like the decluttering the house, like this energy was ready to move. And then in March, my ex died. So my ex-husband, who I'd been married to for 20 years, it was a lot. It was my kid's dad. And even though we were divorced and really not on good terms, it brought up something in me when he died. And my parents had actually just died within the last 3 years. Both my parents died. My dad the September before, and then, my ex in 2025. So I had already started this grief recovery workbook in January and found a partner and was doing some weekly meetings, and then my ex died. So I just from that point on just really dove into grief recovery and did weekly meetings pretty much until the summer and really went through just a lot of learning about grief, processing it, working through it, understanding it so much more, to a depth I just couldn't even have imagined before. But um, it was this again kind of this like movement and this cleansing energy and this like let's change things up, right? Let's shake things up. Let's let go of the old junk that's been piling up. We went through my parents' house and got rid of things and then did the same thing with my ex's stuff. So there was just a lot of like I call it just like I was thinking of an analogy of just like cleaning out the basement. Like think about if someone's nervous system is just so much in fight or flight that they are just in survival mode, that's all they can do is they're using all their energy to survive. But then when you get to this little place where you're feeling more regulated, you can breathe, and then you can start to like clean out the basement, right? And so in coaching work, that might be more like getting to some of those things that when you get triggered, really getting down to like when that started, nurturing that inner child, reparenting yourself, doing parts work, doing shadow work, really just finding ways to love yourself no matter whatever's coming up, even if it feels silly or embarrassing, because no matter what, we're always going to be on this journey and we'll always be evolving and triggering new things and working through them and having these breakdowns and breakthroughs. And that is just part of it. And kind of like I said with my house, it's still an ongoing project. Same with cleaning out my basement spiritually or metaphorically with the emotional things, those things that were compensation patterns from my childhood, things that I learned and I was taught by society and I absorbed, and it's affecting who I am now. So I'm in this process of just releasing all of that and being the most me that I can be. And over the summer, I just thought of myself as having this sabbatical from coaching. I just wasn't really feeling it. I did have a few clients who had already purchased packages, and I was still coaching just a few people here and there, but I wasn't really like putting out new offers, doing a lot of marketing or anything to really build my coaching practice. and got a lot of opportunities to go surfing, and it was great just behind a boat, surfing. Super, super fun. Got to challenge myself, do hard things, scary things, times that my nervous system freaked out and really like learned this new skill. And I was also able to have one of my dreams come true, which was getting a little cute little RV. So that was fun this summer. Years ago in a Mind movie, I had had a RV in my mind and thought about like at least like renting one for a trip or something. And then I just been looking on the Facebook Marketplace. That's actually become kind of a a bad habit, let's just say, a bad habit of mine. Um, but finding so many good deals on the marketplace. But I was just looking at RVs and just kind of fantasizing about them. I would look at some that were $8,000 and some that were $80,000 and just looking at all the range and what was out there. And so when I saw this one, I just knew this was the one. It was such a good price. It was so cute. It's older, but the miles are very low, so very good for its age, like me. And I just love it. And so I'm the proud owner of an RV way sooner than I thought I would be, but it just felt right. It was right. And it just brings me so much joy, so much joy. So this fall, I started kind of getting serious again, not just playing and going on the boat, but starting to really think about what I wanted to do with my life. Do I want to just take it day to day, going to the gym, taking care of my body and playing? And I started finding some new people on YouTube that were talking about like quantum shifting, parallel universes, quantum jumping, basically a lot of the things I already believe in with manifesting, but really like getting that clear vision for yourself of your future self and where you want to be, what you want to be doing, why you want to be doing it, what you want to have, why you want to have it, really getting into all the details of this future person and even thinking of this self that you are now, this like ego self, basically this reaction to all the things you've been taught and all the hurts and all the compensation patterns that you've been doing, shedding those, letting go of those. And this character basically that I've been playing, that's been a people pleaser and wanting to be liked and trying to be seen as good and sometimes putting myself last, really getting rid of that old character and thinking of this new character, this new self, and how they would act. And as much as you can, stepping into all of those actions. And that's where I started thinking about just fantasizing. And I'll do this often, trying to meditate in just a positive vibration and a positive feeling. And just think about the things that you want and just fantasize about. There's this like scene that comes to my mind of going down some stairs and it's like a place with a balcony in Greece where you can overlook the blue ocean and there's all of these white buildings and the sun is shining and I walk down the stairs and I feel that. I feel that. And sometimes I would imagine going to that little town that was there, or sometimes I'd imagine the people that were there with me or having a little white dog. And I thought of what kind of name I would want for this future self if I was to choose a new name. And I thought of the name Elle, ELLE, like the letter L, but like sophisticated, like the fashion magazine Elle, or like Elle Woods, and Legally Blonde, which is fun. So I thought of this name Elle. It sounded like more elegant, more sophisticated, more chic, more fashionable, more mature and wise and coy and playful. And then I thought, my name is Elizabeth. Like, literally, my legal given name is Elizabeth, and my parents always called me Betsy. And I would even joke about, like, yeah, someday, maybe I'd use this name, Elizabeth, but I never really thought I would go back to that name, Elizabeth, because it sounded so like, frumpy and old and boring. But when I thought of Elle, I thought, wow, I wouldn't even have to change my name legally. So I started playing with this idea of becoming Elle and changing my name to Elle. And so then for my birthday in November, that was my 50th birthday, which of course was very momentous. Um, we thought of this idea. My boyfriend thought of this idea for both of us because he was turning 40, I'm turning 50, big birthdays. And we thought of this idea of this rebirth ceremony. So we have some amazing, awesome friends that did like a shamanic message and then a breathwork ceremony, literally a breathwork ceremony, like a silent disco. And we talked about like what each of us were like giving up, the new thing that we wanted to go toward, whether it be a new name or just a new characteristic or vision for ourselves. It was really, really amazing because I want the next 50 years of my life to be just as awesome and amazing as the first 50 have been. I feel like I'm just like in my prime. I feel like I'm hitting my stride. I think my body is actually in the best shape it's been in my whole life, honestly. And I really want to be an example for people who are aging, especially women who are basically taught that we are whatever phase we are in our reproductive cycle, and that's what we are and what we have to experience in this certain way. And I don't feel like it has to be that way for everyone. I feel like through coaching, through meditating, through developing this relationship with my inner voice and listening to it more and following it more, it's led me to so many amazing things. And it's led me on exactly the right path, which has included some learning, which hasn't always been super fun, but always learning, always growing, always advancing, evolving. And I am just excited for 2026. I do want to be bringing this podcast back, getting some cool guests on, and talking more about issues that are affecting especially women ages 35 and up. So please follow, subscribe, like, share this podcast with a friend, and keep tuning back in. Thanks. Love you guys so much. Have a good week. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope you learned a little bit about your brain today that helps you in your life like it helped me. Please be sure and subscribe and leave a review. And of course, be sure and share this podcast with someone you know that wants an unstoppable body and mind.